Burn, can you turn that off a minute? Can you do the vacuuming later?
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's okay. It's very powerful sounding thing. A couple of the papers this morning are carrying the story about the EU wanting to cut the power of vacuum cleaners. I can see why. The Express says it's another Mad Hatter diktat from Europe as new rules come into force next year, which are going to see vacuums graded on an energy efficiency scale similar to the ones used on fridges and freezers. You would think they had more important things to worry about. Let's cross to Brussels now and talk to West Midlands MEP Nikki Sinclaire, who joins us on the show. Morning, Nikki.
Good morning.
Have I entered some kind of parallel universe here or something?
Well, it certainly feels like it. I wish they could be swept away. The loony diktats that comes out of this place. This really is ridiculous. I need to go. The Daily Express have actually got the story wrong.
No.
Correct it. Absolutely.
You're joking. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
It actually doesn't come into force until 2017.
Oh, right, okay.
And there is a resolution on the table, and we are trying, because these are Commission proposals, and we're trying to get them moved. But, this is the kind of lunacy, and as you say, there's many, if they really wanted to attempt to change something, there are many better things. So, we've got loads of people unemployed, haven't we? They should spend their energy on that and not waste. They talk about energy saving. They should use their energy much better.
The energy is an issue, but also, I guess, a lot of people are thinking, what about the cost of this, Nikki? I mean, how much, we're talking about people sitting down and having meetings and doing studies and all the rest of it. It ain't going to come cheap, is it, this?
No, and where does that cost get passed on to? It gets passed down the chain to the consumer. And, it's an absolutely ludicrous... if you're going to cut the power in vacuums by half, you're just going to go over it twice, aren't you? You're going to go over it 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
So
so you'll have it on for longer, so it's not going to make any difference?
Exactly.
Do you think they got kind of... Because, the fridge and the freezer one, I think, was kind of... Wasn't that accepted a little bit, and they said, actually, this isn't a bad idea?
Yeah, of course, and obviously, we do, obviously, where we can save energy, we need to be able to do it. We need to be more responsible about our energy usage, and that's absolute fact. But when you push it too far, and when the consumers end up paying for this, it's even the old thing about, most of the duty, the fuel cost is duty, isn't it? And that was put up bit by bit to say it was to stop road use more in the environment. And has it stopped one car being on the road? No. And it's where does that cost go? Down to the consumer. And it's just wrong. And here's another example of Brussels interfering. And it's also not, across the EU, because, of course, we in the UK tend to have carpets. Most of Europe, especially Southern Europe...
Yeah, if you're warmer climate, have tiles,
tiled floors, so they don't need as many, obviously, hoovers. They use, obviously, mops, etc. So this is going to adversely affect us. And obviously, Dyson have come out and said this is absolutely ridiculous. And obviously, we have, obviously, manufacturers here in the West Midlands. So
I just wonder, though, is there some kind of death wish in Brussels that, that nobody sort of sits down and thinks this through and says, all of the things that you've just said, hang on a second, it's not a level playing field, and what about the cost, and this should be prioritised right down the list until it drops off the bottom of it. Who should be responsible for doing that within Europe? Is there anybody?
Well, I suppose it's the MEPs, but I agree with you. There is a bit of a death wish here. Sometimes I wish, I bring visitors here to Brussels because I don't need to argue the case of why we should leave the European Union. I just need to bring them to show them. And one of the things I get frustrated that there's not much of a debate about the European Union in the UK and why pro-Europeans. I have a mobile surgery that goes around the West Midlands. You don't see any pro-Europeans doing that. It's because they don't really want to sell Europe because they've got nothing to sell. And, the more that people see of the European Union, the more they turn against it, which is why the politicians for generations have been hiding the decisions from the people of the United Kingdom.
I've got to go. I've got to get back to the vacuuming, but thanks for joining us, Nikki. Midlands MEP Nikki Sinclaire, trying to make some sense of the nonsensical, I think it's fair to say.
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.